School Board.
Good evening. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, November 4th is called to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Clymer is present. Commissioner Steiner is present. Commissioner Ellison is present. Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is on the phone. Chairman Bray is present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Agenda item number 1 is to approve the draft minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on October 14th, 2020 and October 21st, 2020. Those are online, and I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from the October 14th meeting.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the minutes for both October 14th, 2020 and October 21st, 2020. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Aye.
Note that as an aye. All those nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. Non-agenda items. Are there any speaker cards? Anyone from the public? Perfect. All right, now this is portion of the agenda for disclosure of ex parte communication. This is an opportunity for commission members to disclose any ex parte communication about any agenda items prior to this meeting. Is there anything that anyone would like to disclose?
Nope.
Vice Chairman Barnes, anything to disclose?
Nothing to disclose.
Thank you. We'll move right on into the business portion of the agenda, and we'll start with agenda item number 2. This is the request for a continuance of the rezoning from PAD Ag to PAD for the Innovation Center. This is the one regarding the Trotter Park. So they're asking for a continuance, and that would go ahead, Christopher.
Thank you. Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder, since we did table the public hearing to tonight, to the date specific, we need to open it up again because there could be an interested person who saw the video and wanted to come tonight. And then the request that we're asking is for the commission to table it to another date certain at 6 p.m. on November the 18th for a special meeting.
Okay. So per staff's advice, I will open the public hearing on the rezoning for the PAD Ag to PAD for the Innovation Center. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on agenda item number 2? Any speakers cards? Okay. I will close the public hearing and take a motion for continuance, please. Date specific to November 18th.
Mr. Chairman, I move we continue on to the November 18th for the continuance of this PAD.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Kish to continue this agenda item to November 18th at 6 p.m. in this building. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. On to agenda item number 3. This is a Platinum Storage special use permit request for convenience storage, and Christian will be presenting this evening. I have to open the public hearing.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening, Chairman Bray and the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm here before you this evening with a request from Gerald Schmidt for to hear a use permit request on a property within the city, and that's actually a special use permit with the property within the city. So this property is located in central Goodyear, and it's approximately 3.05 acres, and it's located at the southeast corner of Litchfield Road in Van Buren. The property is currently Zone C2 General Commercial, and the property is located in the vicinity of the star on this map, so right over here in the eastern side of the map. Zooming in a little closer, you'll see that the project is within an existing shopping center called the Goodyear Commercial Park, and the property is east of the Goodyear Financial Center, which is where our current city hall is, west of historic Goodyear in the neighborhood's called Litchfield Manor, and it is north of an existing professional plaza. The property is also within an existing commercial center, which includes Vineyard Church, Taco Bell, and the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce, just for a little bit more context. So we're talking about this property here that's in teal. The applicant intends to redevelop an existing building to include the development of a self-storage facility and has submitted the subject application for a special use permit. The site contains a commercial building and sections of an existing parking lot. As a part of this project, improvements will be made both on and off the parcel in order to add parking landscape islands, improve the parking lot circulation, and enhance the landscaping both in and outside of the parcel within the Goodyear Commercial Park. The proposal is for a 105,000 square foot retail building, and that will convert the existing 34,000 square foot building from a vacant retail space, which was originally occupied by Abco Grocery Store, and in its most recent life, you'll probably remember that it was a Goodwill. And that will be converted into an indoor convenience storage, mini storage facility. The existing single-story building was built in approximately 1976, and it has a roof height of about 23 feet 3 inches. So once the building is redeveloped, it will be a 3-story building with a roof height of about between about 30 feet to 32 feet based on the slope. And the building, however, will attempt to showcase as if it's a 2-story building in appearance. The proposed business hours for this mini storage would be Monday through Sunday between 6 and 10 p.m., which would be stipulated in the staff report. And site improvements will include the demolition and reconstruction of the interior of the building. They'll be repainting the building and then again reconfiguring the parking lot to also add those parking landscape islands. They'll be refurbishing and repainting the existing, refurbishing and repairing the existing landscaping behind the center. There currently is no landscaping, or there's minimal landscaping behind the center, which is on Lamar Boulevard, as well as Las Palmas Drive. The preliminary site plan also shows, once the redevelopment work is complete, that 115 spaces will remain on this parcel. This is actually a reduction from the 140 parking spaces that exists by about 25. And that former retail space that was occupied only needed 114 spaces. The storage, on the other hand, will only need 18 spaces. So in addition to this, the entire parking lot for that whole center, which is shared, there will actually be a total of 221 parking spaces. So based on the future square footages that you'll find in the shopping center, only 216 spaces are required. So the net result is a loss of parking, but there'll be enhancements in the aesthetics of the parking lot and the future surplus of about 4 parking spaces and the addition of some bicycle parking. The conceptual building elevations that were included with the special use permit application convey the architectural design and the intent that are intended for this building. The proposed building height is going to be about 30 feet. And if you don't, and that's if you don't count the screen walls, which will cover up the air conditioner units and things like that. And and that's under the 56 maximum building height established in the C2 General Commercial as it stands today. And with that, staff has evaluated the impacts of this proposed special use permit to the greater community. And with no major concerns being found, staff is recommending you forward an approval recommendation for the special use permit for a convenient storage mini storage on a 3.05 acre parcel zoned C2 General Commercial located southeast of Litchfield Road and Van Buren Street, subject to the stipulations found in the staff report. However, I would also like to make one note that there's a Scribner's error that is in the staff report. And under stipulation F of the report, it states that the rear setback is 55 feet. This was a rounding error on staff's part, and by staff I mean it was my fault. But it should have said 50 feet. So if you recommend approval, I would really appreciate a revision of the stipulation to reflect that the intention was 50-foot rear setback, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the project.
Any, Commissioner Clymer?
You said that 10 o'clock would be the end of time when people can access this, so no one can get on the premises after 10 o'clock at night?
10 o'clock is more for the general public. So if you have a storage unit in there, but if they had like a cleaning crew or something that
Okay, I
access
understand,
the
but
property or somebody that
just
lives
to
there.
people going in and out for
Exactly.
the use of the property itself for the general purpose. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
You also mentioned that it's open on Sundays.
Yes.
The church there, how big of services do they, do they have services like once on Sundays, or how many services do they have on Sundays?
So I don't have the answer for what their service times are, but what I can tell you is that mini storage, what we've calculated based on the square foot, is that they require 18 spaces. So I wouldn't imagine that there'd be a lot of volume that would really conflict with the church services, just based on the type of users that use the mini storage.
Yeah.
And since the loading and unloading is primarily done with inside the building itself.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
I may, Chair, sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to add one note to Christian's presentation on the location of the loading and unloading is in the front of the building.
Yes.
So it will not impact the resident, or it should have minimal impact to the residential. It's not located in the back of the building like it was on the Goodwill that used to be there.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant here, I'm guessing?
They are, if you have
Perfect.
any questions.
Do you, any questions for the applicant, or would you like to present or anything for the commission?
Well, for your record, my name is Taylor Earl with Earl and Curley. I have a presentation, happy to not make it. I'll just make a couple of clarifications. So we actually have, our intention is to actually cut off to our customers at 10 as well. So that would be 6 to 10, and after that, don't come in. And then as to the parking, really when you consider the amount of parking that's needed for Goodwill, and when you convert it to self-storage, which has, I think 18 is kind of what the code says, I don't really see us using basically any. Lease-up period, you'd use a few. As people come, once you lease it up, people are going to be coming in and going in and loading and unloading. Primarily, as Katie said, we do have the loading and unloading in the front. You would pull in, the door would open up, you pull in, the door closes. So not only are the units climate controlled, but the loading and unloading is climate controlled. So Arizona summer, monsoon season, you're totally protected. In the back, on the south side, which is adjacent to the office, we do have extra loading and unloading. So should that opportunity be unavailable there, then there would be an extra spot in the back. But we would see that as just overflow, and primarily would be up there in the front. So I think that speaks to the questions that were asked. Happy to leave it at that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Unless someone wants to see the presentation?
Not necessarily. I did have a question, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Kish.
Will this also provide access to U-Haul trucks? Some the move-in places rent out U-Hauls, rent out trucks, rent out those type of services. Is this going to do that as well, or is this just primarily storage?
Or anything just in storage. I have not heard any of those being discussed. Good question though, because I do know some do that, but that's not what we're intending to do here.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff at this time? Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate you coming out. That being said, are there any speakers cards? Anybody wish to address the commission on this agenda item? Perfect. I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion. Note that staff is requesting a clarification on F to 50 feet. So if you'll include that in the motion, that'd be helpful to correct staff's error.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this item number with the stipulation of 50 feet in the back. easement in the back
On letter F.
on letter F.
Second?
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Clymer, to approve the Platinum Storage Special Use Permit request with an additional clarification on letter F to strike 55 feet and insert 50 feet. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 4, this is the Cascade Falls at Canyon Trails overlay. And again, Christian will be presenting on this issue, and I will open the public hearing.
All right. Good evening, Chairman Brain, Planning and Zoning Commission, still here. Here with a request from Daryl Schmidt to conduct a rezoning on a property within a city. The property is approximately 12.2 acres, and it is located at the northwest corner of Saraville Avenue and Van Buren Street. The property is currently zoned PAD under the Canyon Trails Phase 1 PAD with an underlying zoning of C2. As it relates to the general plan land use, the project falls in the neighborhoods area. This is a similar category to the apartment complex developed adjacent to it, called Encantada at Canyon Trails. The project also is within the transit-oriented development overlay. For a little bit of history, and just so you know where that is, the project is right here at Saraville and Van Buren on both of these. Okay. So for a little history on the project was initially zoned as part of Canyon Trails Phase 1 PAD development with an underlying zoning of C2 back in 1999. Since that time, the Arizona State Route Loop 303 has been constructed to the west, as well as Saraville Avenue ramps at Interstate 10 Papago Freeway, and Van Buren ramps with the Arizona State Route 303 loop. I will point out a few things from a regional context about this site. The site is not adjacent to a freeway, neither the Interstate 10 or the 303. It is surrounded by residential on the north and on the south, single family that is, and it is due east of multifamily. The ramps at Saraville Avenue, about 3/4 of a mile north of the site, will allow you to directly enter the freeway going east towards Phoenix, but not directly west towards Buckeye or Los Angeles. In order to do that, you need to drive the frontage road and enter at Citrus Road in order to head west. And the Van Buren ramp does not provide direct access to Loop 303 northbound. You enter the freeway going northbound at Thomas Road. Additionally, there are business and commerce general plan land uses located between Citrus Road and Cotton Lane along both sides of Interstate 10 and along Estrella Parkway / Pebble Creek Parkway on both sides of Interstate 10 freeway. So that is Estrella Parkway, and you can see the pink is business and commerce, and this is Citrus Road, and this pink is business and commerce. All right. The nearest C2 centers in the area are at Estrella Parkway in Van Buren, which is the Canyon Trails Plaza, anchored by Safeway. That is 1 mile east. Saraville Avenue in Yuma, which is the Saraville Marketplace, anchored by Fry's Marketplace, or as I like to call it, Fancy Fry's. That is 1 mile south. And the Canyon Trails Town Center at Cotton Lane in the future Loop 303, and that's at Yuma and Van Buren. That's about 1 mile southwest as the crow flies, just to give you a little context on where this site is. As it relates to other multifamily in the area of Goodyear, between Thomas on the north, Yuma on the south, Citrus on the west, and Litchfield on the east, this map displays where those are located. There are 8 established multifamily communities, and those are shown in green. There are 7 under development or recently completed multifamily projects, and those are shown in purple. There are 11 zoned for multifamily or senior family, and those are shown in yellow. And there are 4 projects in the pre-application or review process, and those are shown in that purplish, bluish, grayish color. And the site for reference is this red one right here. That is the proposed Cascade Falls at Canyon Trails. Bless you. Zooming in a little bit closer to the actual site, you can see that the project is just south of Elk Grove at Canyon Trails, which is single family. It is north of Raven Heights at Canyon Trails, which is also single family. It is west of the Harvest Baptist Church land, which is largely vacant, agricultural, urban zoned property. And it is immediately adjacent to Encantada Canyon Trails, which is multifamily, adjacent to it on its west. The basis for the zoning is the city's MF24, which typically permits 24 units per acre. I will highlight some of the major changes that are being proposed within this PAD overlay. The use of the PAD overlay is justified as the current development standards for the MF24 zoning district are in need of some updating. Only 3 older apartment complexes in the city, all near Central Avenue and Van Buren, have a multifamily zoning designation established outside of a PAD or PAD overlay zoning district. That's why you receive so many PAD requests for multifamily that are PAD and not MF24. The current rear setback is listed as 20%, which is not typically practical given the modern apartment community design. So in order to allow this development to move forward, a PAD overlay was utilized on top of the MF24. The zoning ordinance requires a trash enclosure to be located either 50 feet from a single family zoning district or 30 feet if there's a landscape buffer created. The manner in which the single family residential subdivision to the north was developed, there is a large landscape buffer and a wall on the single family subdivision side. So that I will highlight is here and here. So only 2 homes touch the boundary. So as a result of that, the PAD contemplates that the setback was reduced to 25 feet from a property line because the trash enclosure will be located 150 feet from lots with single-family homes. And depending on the height, based on the current standards, a carport could be as close to a property line as 6 feet generally. The applicant will be setting back all carports at least 15 feet from the property line. The applicant is, so for example, I'll just show you that here. They have not submitted a site plan, but this is a proposed layout of what this would look like. So the carports are located 15 feet from any wall or property line as opposed to, say, 6 feet, for example. And then the trash enclosures here or here, which puts it more than 150 feet from a residential unit. Okay. The applicant is requesting a reduction in the west setback to 5 feet, which is adjacent to another multifamily project. And just for a little bit of context, under the current C2 general commercial zoning, the side setback is currently 0. So that side setback could be 0. The applicant is moving that to 5. Although this is a reduction in the multifamily setback, the impact to the existing multifamily development would be minimal. And under our current multifamily zoning, a landscape buffer would not be required to the north. However, to reduce the impacts to single family, the landscape buffer being required in the existing C2 zoning is going to be carried over to this PAD. So right now you don't need a landscape buffer on the north. This PAD is going to require one. And it's going to be consistent with what would have been required under the C2 commercial zoning. And then in addition, design shall be in conformance with our multifamily standards. However, there will be some additional requirements. The residential buildings may have downspouts used if they match the design elements of the building. Carport roofs may be sloped as long as the design complements the structures within the complex. The site wall and style, if they choose to build a wall around this property, needs to match the existing walls around Canyon Trails. So we don't have one that sticks out and is different looking. And then the multifamily name will carry the Canyon Trails name on the project. So Cascade Falls at Canyon Trails, the proposal, so that it feels more like united with the community, if you will. In addition, color schemes should add interest and variation to the buildings on the site. At least 2 base colors and 3 accent color materials shall be used throughout the site. The combination of those base colors and accent colors should be used in a manner which creates at least 4 unique building schemes throughout the site. A variation in roof height is also encouraged, and this will help ensure that the site does not look like a cookie-cutter apartment complex with the same appearance across the whole site or that tunnel vision as you drive down and every building's the same color. And those have been incorporated into the PAD overlay. Staff has evaluated the impact of this proposed zoning to the greater community, and with no major concerns being found, staff is recommending you forward an approval recommendation for rezoning the property from Canyon Trails Phase 1 PAD with an underlying zoning of C to MF24 with the Cascade Falls at Canyon Trails PAD development overlay, which includes multifamily uses, a density of 24 units per acre, modified development standards, and design enhancements subject to the staff report and stipulations. And with that, I'm here for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Christian. Any questions for staff?
Yes, I did.
Commissioner Kish.
Christian, can you pull up the map of the apartment complex one more time?
Yes. And this map, what this map is showing is if you use those setbacks, that's what this looks like.
Okay. In regards to the rear of the property where the residential is that going to be parking back there?
Yes. So, well, it's envisioned to be parking. So what it's saying is that if there is parking, the setback would be 15 feet of landscaping before you get a carport.
Okay.
Be a landscape buffer there.
My concern, not necessarily with cars, but with the lighting used to to illuminate a parking lot like that. Some of them can be really bright, especially the newer LED lights that they're using on these apartment complexes. I don't know if that will interfere with the residential properties in the back, because those will be on all night, essentially, for, because it's safety issues. So I have a concern about light pollution coming from the rear of that property going into the residential property.
Great.
I don't know, how do we resolve that, or how do we answer that question as of now, but that is a concern I have.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Bull, would you like to?
Whenever it's my turn, I'll be happy.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes.
Well, if you don't mind, we'll just table that for Mr. Bull.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's just a concern that
Writing
we
it
can
down, I
table.
appreciate you bringing
Absolutely. And then the pool is at the front. I can see, is that blue blob kind of in the middle?
that. That's where it's showing it, and I will just say this isn't the site plan. This is
Okay.
mainly to show where the setbacks would be.
I didn't know if the pool, for example, is going to be put in the rear, then my other concern is, noise and pollution from, my main concern is those residential properties. So whatever noise or light pollution that would come from that property, my concern is the back. But, and then you're saying on the left-hand side, that's right adjacent to that Encantada, yes?
Correct. So what you have there is either parking or those carriage units where you have the garage below and the unit above.
Yeah, I've driven by those, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for staff at this time? Ed, would you like to address the commission, please?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. Ed Bull, 702 East Osborne. To begin with, I want to simply state that I agree with everything that Christian said in his presentation, agree with his slides and so on. In response to the commissioner's question about parking lot lighting, while this isn't site plan review, as Christian indicated, we would be happy to stipulate, if you wanted to, that the parking lot lighting along that north property line would be downward directed shoebox style fixtures, which are dark sky compliant and so on, to make sure that there's no light or glare going into the neighborhood to the north or anywhere else off the property. Importantly as well, I believe, is that much, not all, but much of that northern property line is actually open space on the southern end of the residential, of the single family development to the north. So we have considerable separation and buffer, a landscape buffer on our side of the wall, and we'll be responsible in the design of the photometrics of the parking lot lighting. Perfect. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I have learned over the years to appreciate that brevity is sometimes rewarded by this commission, and I wouldn't want to abuse that. At the same time, being here with Daryl Schmidt and with Matt Garricky and with Bruce Bradsley, all that have been in the real estate and development business a long time, I also don't want to cut things short unnecessarily. Long-winded way of saying, we've been working with staff for roughly a year and a half. There's been lots of design and other changes that have been made along the way for the better. This site has been zoned for commercial for over 20 years, and it hasn't worked as commercial, and it won't. and very confident of that, as is the underlying seller. So we have a PowerPoint, we have a presentation, all of that, if you would like. But in short, if your commission is comfortable with the staff's recommendation for approval and the staff stipulations, and if you want to add a lighting stipulation, that's fine too. But we'd request your approval and are happy to waive a presentation unless it would be silly for us to do so.
Thank you, Ed. Does anybody have any questions, or would you like to see Mr. Bull's presentation?
No.
Nope. I got one question. For some reason, I remember at some point, was this going to be part of the, it was originally going to be a school over in that piece of the property? Does anybody remember that? Montessori school?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we did receive an application from Palm Valley Montessori to expand at this location, but they decided not to.
Okay, that's why I remember that a while ago.
Well, look at you.
Yeah. Sharp as a tack, right? All right, if there's no questions for the applicant, no one wishes to see the presentation? All right. Thank you, Ed. Thank the applicants for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any further questions for staff? All right, any speakers cards or public comments at this point in time? Yes, sir. Approach the mic. We're on a 2-minute, 3-minute, 3-minute. 3-minute, green, yellow, red, obviously. And then when you're finished, if you will just provide your speakers comments cards to Christopher.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, Chairman, Commission. Thanks for having us tonight. Give me an opportunity. I'm Nathan Wheeler. I'm the principal at West Valley Christian School. We're at the northeast corner of Saraville and Van Buren. I've been the principal at West Valley for 4 school years now. We enjoy a very safe and secure environment at that corner. It's also very clean, which is a blessing to us because there's a business end to what we do as well. Most importantly, our students are safe. We have a very healthy relationship with Goodyear PD as a result. They come by to shake hands, kiss babies, do PR, simple as that. We'd like to keep that way too. Before coming to West Valley and working in private education, I spent 9 years public school that was located very close to a high-density apartment complex. With that came a wide range of concerns throughout each and every school year. And I'll spare you the details, but you can imagine what those are. They involve lockdowns and lockouts and things like that. And the vast majority of them end up being very minor, right? But there's securities you have to take. And when, as an administrator, when you have to reach out to your families and explain those things to them time and time again, that's a deterrent to people wanting to attend your school. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Well, I don't know that we need to respond. I would just ask, I guess, as I know you're a long way off from actually getting the final stuff, that you just keep the school in mind and trade cards, be in contact.
We'll do it.
Does that work?
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. I believe you guys could work out something. With that, any other? Yes, sir. I believe it's Mr. Kuiper, correct?
Yes, Daryl Kuiper. I'm half partners in the Orange City Kuiper Trust, which is ground that's contiguous and part of the future for West Valley Christian. And I'm here to speak against as well with the same concerns that Nathan has. I'm also on the board at West Valley Christian, and the property to the north was purchased by my brother and I, an irrevocable trust that we're hoping that grows into a high school. We're right now just preschool through 8 grades and maybe going to start the high school thing in a non-traditional way, but as it grows into traditional, then it would be a high school. So we have real concerns about multifamily, some of the things that he said, and I, just the multifamily is a more transient type occupier, as well as, maybe sexual registered offenders, maybe unregistered. Those are the things that our board has some concerns about. So I just wanted to go on record from Orange City Kuiper Trust, but we're really here together with the same concern for West Valley Christian's future.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Because we're early on in this project, Mr. Bull, I think we'll just work with the high school and the Christian, the board over there, at least have a dialogue. And that's what I ask. Unless anybody has any other questions. And I'll even open it back up to the applicant if you have questions for the applicant.
Not at this time.
Nope. Okay. With that, any further discussion from the public or anybody wish to speak on this agenda item?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if you wanted to address lights, it should be included as part of the motion.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate that.
Chair, may I speak on the lighting? Sorry. I
Go
looked
ahead.
up our standard regulations, and as our standard regulations enforcing here, the perimeter lights would be required to be full cutoff, and they're also required, they can't be taller than 6 feet when they're on the perimeter adjacent to a single-family residential. And those are our current standards, so there are some protections already in place for perimeter lighting adjacent to residential.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does that allay your,
I just don't think the stipulation is necessary. When driving by some newer apartment complexes, they use those LED lights, and it's like, boom, Christmas. So that's my only observation and my only concern. But if there are already stipulations put in place of lighting and light pollution, then I am perfectly fine.
Perfect. Any other discussions, comments at this point in time? All right. With that, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept 20-200-00001.
second?
Been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Clymer to approve the Cascade Falls Canyon Trails overlay, item 20-200-00001. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. On to agenda item number 5. This is the comprehensive sign package for the Goodyear Recreation Campus. And Steve has been patiently waiting in the back, excited to talk signs again. It's like his specialty. He's our sign man.
Vegas.
Good job, Christian. Even though you had that little 50-foot mix-up, we forgive you.
How old is he?
It's only 5.
Wow.
Wow.
5 feet of a
No, 5 feet. It's only 5 feet. That's right.
Little twist of the dagger.
Yeah.
Put it on a Christmas
Gotta
card.
keep them on their toes. Oh, I'll open the public hearing. Melissa was probably like waving her hands over there.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members.
Thank you.
Is this on? Well, I do have a comprehensive sign package for you tonight, and it is for our Goodyear Recreation Campus. And that property, it's about 80 acres, and this is Estrella Parkway, Goodyear Boulevard, Yuma Road, Desert Edge right here. Then we have single family with wildflower wrapping around, and this is the future Hudson Commons development where we have some, mix of single family and single family rental here. And then we move over to across Estrella Parkway. We have a Centera single family, and then some of the commercial areas within Centera. So again, that property that is intended for our Goodyear Community Park, it's about 80 acres. It's zoned Public Facilities District. That was back in 2019. We also had a site plan for first phase. That was approved also in 2019. And that first phase, and kind of right here, has about 40 acres, and it has the rec center, the aquatic facility, and then this large park area here with a lot of fields. And so what we're looking at tonight is a comprehensive sign package. And what that does is it provides for comprehensive coordinated signage with enhanced design. And in return for that enhanced design and coordination, certain modifications may be requested from our standard sign code, such as larger signs or additional signs. And if so, if their modifications do exceed the zoning or the sign code standards, then that CSP requires approval, a review and approval from the Planning Commission and City Council. So tonight's request, it is a sign package for that first phase of the Goodyear Rec Campus. And that first phase will include building signs, monument signs, and wayfinding signs. And looking at the ground signs first, there'll be a primary monument right here at Estrella Parkway in Harrison. Then you'll have several secondary monuments along here, along Goodyear Boulevard and Sherman. So we'll have 3 here, 1 at each driveway. And then we'll have several wayfinding signs dispersed throughout the phase. And then for the wall sign, we had the primary building sign facing the focal point area of Estrella Parkway and Harrison, the intersection here. The other wall sign will be facing internal into the site. And with this sign package, there are several modifications being requested. And so the first one is to that building sign facing Estrella Parkway. And right now, per the sign code, it would be allowed 137 square feet of area for that sign. And that's based off of the sign code allowance of 1 square foot of signage for each linear foot of building length. So with that building length being 137 feet, they get 137 square feet of signage. However, they are requesting a larger sign at 198 square feet. The next sign, the canopy sign, that was the sign facing internal into the site. That sign would be permitted 75 square feet of copy area, and because that's a back or a side, that would get a half square foot of sign area per linear foot of building length. So that wall's about 150 feet in length, so therefore the 75 square foot allowance for the sign. And again, they're requesting a little larger sign at 94 square feet. The primary monument, that's the one right there at Estrella Parkway. That would have a maximum sign area of 32 square feet. They're requesting 42. And then 4 and 5, those are the wayfinding signs. Those signs aren't specifically called out in our sign code, so that's a new sign type being requested with this sign package. As set out in the sign code, there are valuation criteria when we do look at a sign package and any requested modifications. And just to summarize real quick, it looks at things like visibility and legibility, the enhanced design, and compatibility with the surrounding area. And as noted in the sign package, there's a Roseville Irrigation District easement that runs along Estrella Parkway. There's also other infrastructure. The package states that pushed the signage further back into the site. We also have Estrella Parkway, which is a scenic arterial, so you have higher traffic speeds, higher volumes. And with that being the focal point, they wanted to size their sign so it would be readable from that traffic on Estrella Parkway. And they also, as you probably noted in the sign package, they did design it to complement the campus design as well as the city branding that we have. And then for compatibility, the one wall sign facing Estrella Parkway, it does face single family across the intersection in Centerra, but that's about over 450 feet away. And also that sign will be, while it be illuminated, it will be shut off when business hours, when the park closes. So in reviewing all of the sign package and our evaluation criteria, we find that the request does meet our evaluation criteria. We find that the modifications are acceptable, and just want to note that for future phases of the park, and if there were any changes to the sign package, that would require an amendment to this sign package. And if those amendments were
If those amendments met city code requirement, it would be administrative approval. However, if they wanted modifications above and beyond what the sign code allowed, then it would have to come back through the Planning Commission and City Council. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending approval of the sign package subject to one stipulation, and which then after this, the next step will be City Council on November 16th. So that concludes my presentation. Staff's available for questions. We also have staff from Parks as well to answer any questions.
Perfect. Actually have a question, Steve, and seems like we don't do sign packages too much, especially after we did the big reorg, but are we often giving exceptions to those sign sizes? I mean, it doesn't seem overly large, but is that kind of a common thing that we have been doing?
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, I won't say it's all sign packages, but most of the sign packages that we've reviewed do request sometimes, usually it's larger signage or additional signage. Again, when we did do the comprehensive update, it did add more signage to it, so that might help reduce some of the requests, but usually most businesses, most entities do request larger signage. So this is not out of the ordinary.
Okay, that's guess what I was getting to. So it sounds like we do this often anyway.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Maloney.
Yes. Steve, the signage, the actual coloring and that whole aspect of it, is it going to be like the sign out here? Is that going to be a uniform thing throughout the city, that any of the city buildings, it will have is it like yellow? So it will be those color schemes?
Mr. Chairman, council members, it's probably something park staff could elaborate on, but yes, this does further our city branding. That was done on intentionally.
Okay.
These are, as you probably have noticed, very familiar from if you've looked at other city signs around or any of our marketing materials.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that I understood that. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions for staff? You couldn't even throw in a digital sign for us, Steve?
I'll defer that question.
Parks, do you guys want to address the commission?
Hi, thank you. Nathan Torres, Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Chairperson, and Commissioners, Mr. Steiner as well. Thank you for this opportunity. We're very excited to deliver this highly anticipated community amenity. We're on track, on schedule for a summer of 21 openings, so a few short months away. And it will truly be like no other, something for everyone, all ages, abilities. It's a rather large campus, really unique to bring this many recreational amenities together in one location. So we're real excited about that.
Very good. Any questions for the director?
Nope.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this or any speakers cards? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And with that, I will take a motion, please.
Oh, Mr. Chairman?
Oh,
No, Patrick, you're supposed to ask for discussion among us first. I have something to mention.
just a minute, Vice Chairman. Christopher?
Yeah, and Nathan, would you like to let the commission know what your thought process is regarding digital signage? Because that could come back, just so they're not aware, so that they're not surprised later on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Thank you, Christopher. With the recent passage of digital signs being accepted now in Goodyear as of council action a couple of weeks ago, we do plan on, we didn't want to slow this process down, but we do plan on bringing forward an amendment to include an additional marquee sign for the recreation campus. But that would be amending this in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Christopher. I was only kidding, and here we are. There might be a casino in there.
Yeah.
Vice Chairman Barnes, you had a discussion item or a comment regarding this issue?
I do. When it comes to the landmark and some of the wayfinding signage, I want to recommend to City Council that they consider not mimicking the city brand and creating something more unique here for this facility. That's all.
Duly noted. Right, Alyssa? I heard her typing over there furiously. Any other discussion on this agenda item?
I have a question about the digital signs.
But it's not in this package.
Okay. All right.
They'll have to come back, and this is just what's on the table.
Okay. Good to know.
She's worried about the Vegas Strip popping up.
You put that in her head.
I know. Any other discussions on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, I will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass 20-630-00001.
Second. Wasn't there a stipulation?
Did it need it? I think you're just pointing it out. It's already in there, right? The stipulation.
Okay, it was in the stipulation.
You don't need it. Okay. It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Kish to approve the comprehensive sign package for Goodyear Recreation Campus. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Oh, all those opposed, nay.
Nay.
There you go. Motion carries. We did record that, Commissioner Barnes. We got you. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And Parks and Rec staff, it's an exciting project. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So good luck. Agenda item number 6. This is the approval of the 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting calendar. Alyssa, are you? Oh, you sent it out. Okay.
I attached it to the agenda and I sent it out.
No, I think it continues to be the same, right? The Wednesday, second
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Second
Wednesday, it's 6 p.m. so far this building.
Yep, correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
with the exception of July,
July, I believe
December,
November, December.
November,
Oh, because we
Because
moved
of
up
the
to try
holidays
and
and-
accommodate
right?
council. Maybe they should accommodate us.
That's funny.
Please
Run it by them.
Yeah, we'll put that in the minutes. I'll take a motion to approve the 2021 calendar.
I move that we approve the 2021 calendar.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Kish to approve the 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting calendar. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Staff communication.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a recap, as we typically do on our recent cases and so forth. At our regular meeting in October, you all considered the Frederico's use permit that was presented to council on October 26th and was approved. There was some discussion about queuing and things of that nature, but it was approved. The Avion Ballpark at Ballpark Village that Christian presented was likewise approved by council. They were very pleased to see a single family project, and we're excited about all the great work that Christian did on that project. The district at Civic Square, the multifamily project on the north side of Monte Vista, kind of north of the Cal Ranch area, that was approved as well. If you remember, Katie presented the recreational marijuana and preceding the vote that took place yesterday, and council did approve that as well. So there'll be one facility that would be eligible in the city. And that vote did pass, is my understanding last night. I bet Chairman Bray probably knows more about that than, not about the recreational marijuana, but about the vote.
Yeah. Thanks for the
I
clarification.
just want to clarify that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And then as you may recall, we also had the special meeting on October 21st at City Hall for the Wagner General Plan Amendment. And that was the first of 2 public hearings that the commission will have. You'll have another one coming up at the meeting in December. That will then roll to the city council meeting on December 14th. And I think Katie has an introduction to make.
Thank you. I'm very happy to introduce to you our newest member in the Planning and Zoning Division. Jason Barr is here. It is his 3rd day with the city of Goodyear. He joins us as an assistant planner. He has been working at the city of Buckeye, so we stole him. We're very happy to have him on board, and he will be making presentations before you shortly. So look forward to that.
Good. Actually, Jason, come up to the mic.
Yeah. It's a tough crowd, Jason.
Take your mask off. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Hi. Hello, Commission. I am originally from Ohio. I came out here for school. I got my graduate degree in planning from ASU, and I was working as a planning tech in Buckeye. So I'm very happy to join you guys.
Good.
Very good. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Get used to that spot.
Yeah.
Anything else from staff?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With that, the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be a special meeting held on November 18th, 2020 at 6 p.m. at the Goodyear Municipal Court and Council Chambers. There being no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.